what do I really want to do. After 3.5 years of education, so excited to get into this role, I doubted myself and I questioned myself, am I doing the right thing? Am I in the right position? Hi, this is Sydney Monica. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join the family. Get exclusive content on nursing, personal development, and finance. And don't forget to hit that notification button. Every time I post a new video, you will get notified. Recap 1 year later, where I'm at now, how everything is going, and how it's been transitioning into that role from an RN to a nurse practitioner. And let's get right into it. So the first topic I'm going to be talking about is mental well-being. As we know, mental well-being is a very big thing that's going on right now in 2023. So it's very important I just want to remind you just to keep a mental check on your friends, your family, your classmates, your colleagues. You just never know what people's going through, what stressors they have in their life. So it's really good to just take time and just check on people. Okay, so I feel like transitioning into this role as a RN to a doctorate of nursing practice, it really kind of tested my mental. And it did so because it was just very terrifying transitioning from a nurse in general, taking orders from a doctor. Everything you do, you have to, notify a doctor, let the charge nurse know. You don't really have a lot of autonomy when it comes to being a nurse. You're more following directions and taking care of a patient with the orders that you're given. And then transitioning into this role where you are the practitioner, you are the provider. If something is needed, you're that go-to person that has to take care of it. If the patient say, this medication is not working for me, you have to evaluate the patient and figure out what is the next best medication for them, and also keeping in mind different side effects, how that can affect them, different interactions. So it's a great amount of responsibility that can be very intimidating. And I often felt that. And I already battle with anxiety. I overthink a lot in general. That's throughout all of my education, all of my life. I think as a little child, I always just thought about stuff a lot more than the average person. So imagining like getting into this role where you are always given direction on what to do, and now you just have to be the person to give the directions. That was just very frightening to me. And it really tested me a lot, where I wouldn't say I cried a lot, but I often felt like I left the office and I go home thinking like a lot, did I do everything correctly? Did I do something wrong? Thinking like, what if something happens to the patient, where I feel like these feelings are very normal when you get into a new role. Because, I did start off as a CNA, then I went to a LPN, then I went to a RN. So going to these different roles, I had different responsibilities and different level of autonomy with the patient. So whenever I hit these different positions, there was always things I didn't know I had to learn. And when I tried it for the first time, I felt nervous. I always doubted myself and think, did I do everything correctly? So I just always had to remind myself, this is just the same process. You're in a new role, you're not gonna know everything, and this part of the process is normal. And once you get comfortable, you get that experience, it gets better. I just had to keep telling myself that. But when you're in that situation, you kind of often forget, and it's when you pass that stage that you think, okay, yeah, like I didn't know much, I kind of made some mistakes, but it's okay, like I know more now, and you kind of see your growth. So that's one thing I have to say about mental well-being. So if you're thinking about becoming a nurse practitioner, or you're in the process of looking for a job, your first job, just know that, you know, it's gonna be a little scary at times. You might not know everything, but it's okay. It's part of the process, and nobody expects for you to know everything when you're new. You know, they train you. And I also have to say, like, the place where I did get hired, the doctor, the other practitioners, the MAs, they were just phenomenal. Like, they were amazing. I feel like I could not have gotten to work at a better place as my first job, especially knowing who I am. I'm a very closed off person. I'm not like very out there and outspoken. I'm to myself. I'm kind of shy, and these people just made me feel so comfortable, so open, and it just made it so much easier for me. So I would definitely say, like, don't rush into getting a job. Make sure like you're the right fit. Like, you know, you go see the location, you maybe take a day there just to look around and see if it's the right environment for you. I feel like I don't thrive in an environment where people gossip a lot. They try to put each other down. And I just feel like it wasn't that at all. I've been in nursing roles where other nurses try to tear each other down, make you lose your job, you know, report you, anything you do wrong, instead of like helping you or teaching you the correct way. That's their opportunity to report you and get you to lose your job. But where I was, everybody was just the complete opposite. Everybody was so nice, so welcoming, so open, and it just made me more comfortable. So I would definitely say consider that when picking your first role as a practitioner. Don't rush, and that's very important to your mental well-being and to growing into a better practitioner. And then I want to talk about something called imposter syndrome. And for some of you guys that don't know the meaning of imposter syndrome, I just want to read to you real quick the definition of imposter syndrome. And it's pretty much a person that struggles and believes that they are undeserving of their achievements and high esteem in which they are in fact generally held. So in my situation, I did 3.5 years of education to earn my doctorate's degree at the age of 26 years old, which is a very big accomplishment. But at times I often felt like I was not smart enough. Like, you know, even though I've accomplished everything I've done at this very young age, I often question myself, like, I don't know enough, I'm not smart enough. And then transitioning into this role where everybody's looking at you as a provider, you know, you're like the top of the ladder in your role, and you don't know something and you have to ask questions to other practitioners, or you have to ask the doctor for, you know, help with stuff. It just, like, that imposter syndrome really kicked in, and I felt like, wow, these people are gonna think I don't know anything. Like, you know, she has this big degree and she still doesn't know. I just kept thinking that. But again, I just had to remind myself, like, you're not gonna know everything. And especially as a nurse practitioner, there's so many different specialties. You can work 10 years in one specialty and jump from another specialty, and you're not gonna know anything because that's not what you specialize in. That's not what you trained in. That's not the type of patient population you've been seeing or dealing with. So it's always gonna be something new, and you're constantly learning. So I just had to remind myself, like, it's okay to ask questions. And I often find myself, you know, just like in the nursing world, you know, you rely on your colleagues, like the pros that's been doing it for years. You go ask them for help with something, or if there's something that you don't understand, a medication, instead of bothering the doctor, you're gonna go to your colleagues that you trust, you know. So I found myself in that same situation, relying on my other practitioner colleagues, and they often did not feel comfortable because we are all working under the doctor. So it's not that they did not want to help me, they just wanted me to get more comfortable asking the doctor questions, letting me know that it's okay to have questions, and even though they know their stuff and they can guide me, they just felt more comfortable being that we're working under him. It's his practice. Everybody does things differently. It's great to go and get his opinion, and he will bring that autonomy out of you. He'll make you try to think independently. So instead of them feeding you the information, they rather I go ask the doctor, which was so intimidating to me, because in the nursing world, you know, if you guys are nurses or you've heard stories, some doctors, they can be very intimidating and very mean. When you call them, you know, on night shift, they're upset, you know, they can hang up the phone on you, or they can talk very harshly to you. So I always thought about that, and every time I had a question, even though it was a question that's so simple, I just wanted to rely on the nurse practitioners and not go bother the doctor too much, because I feared that same situation happening. And it just wasn't that at all. They were just, he was so open, so comfortable to teaching me. And I just had to remind myself, like, this is normal. This is part of the process. Like, you have to be okay with asking questions and being in that new role. So that imposter syndrome really kicked in. And my best advice to you guys that's dealing with that, whether you're a RN, LPN, or you're a new nurse practitioner, just understand that you're in the role that you're in because you qualified to be there, because these people saw something in you that they feel you're a great fit for that position. If you weren't competent enough and you weren't a great fit, you would not be in that role that you're in. So you have to trust and believe the process, because we all have to start from somewhere. And I'm telling you from somebody that's been through it 4 different times in 4 different roles. So like I said, it's just hard when you're in that situation to like remind yourself, like, look, you're gonna get through this. This is part of the process. But looking back, going through it, it's like so easy to talk about and let people know what you've been through. So yeah, just know that if you weren't fit for that role, you would not have been hired. They have your resume, they have your skills, they clearly know that you're competent and you have the skills enough. And some of these places, they're willing to train you, you know, they take their time with you. So that's my best advice. Just hang in there, don't give up, and don't put yourself down. You're smart, you got this, and just keep going. Just keep going. And then another thing is, as I mentioned, I just had a birthday, so I turned 28 years old. Being 27 at that time in that role, it was very intimidating. One, because all the other practitioners are 10 plus years older than me, have 5 to 7, 8, 10 years of practitioner experience, and here I am as like a brand new practitioner. So that means they've been a nurse for over 20 years, over 15 years, and then a practitioner for 5 plus years. And here I am as a new practitioner. I don't know anything about this specialty. And these people are not my age. So it made it really hard to kind of open up and feel comfortable in that role. Because I feel like when you have other people that is close in age to you, can kind of like relate to you, even though they have more experience, they just could kind of relate to your struggle and what you're feeling. It makes it a little bit more easier. And I felt like, even though everybody was so nice and kind to me and open and welcoming, I must say, thank God for that, it was just still so difficult to be in that position where I'm more close in age to, you know, the MAs, and I can't really go to them and talk to them about like how I'm feeling, because we have different roles, we have different positions, we deal with the patients differently. So that was a little bit, it made it harder for me to adjust in the new role. You know, when I became a nurse, I met a lot of people my age, you know, brand new nurses, people that, you know, were fresh out of nursing school. We know the struggle. We know how it feels, you know, calling the doctor to ask for help. it can be very intimidating. Like, we can talk about that, we can relate to that. So it kind of made it a little bit easier because you have somebody that you can vent to at work. But when these other practitioners, you know, they're just almost the same age as the doctor, they can all relate to each other. They have a lot of things in common. So they're like, just go ask him. He's so nice, he's so cool, which I'm sure he is. But to me, it's like, I'm terrified. And I just wish somebody can relate to how I'm feeling, you know? So there's benefits and there's cons. And, you know, being a young nurse, being a young practitioner, it can be very rewarding. You know, you gain a lot of experience early in your career and you build on that so you can get bigger roles and, you know, better jobs and better opportunities. But also some cons is it can be very challenging when you're like the only one in your circle that, you know, in your age bracket that is doing all those things, and there's just nobody you can go and talk to and that can relate to what you're going through. I mean, I have a handful of friends that, you know, I graduated practitioner school with that is close in age with me. So I can't say that I don't have anybody, but I'm saying like in the same environment, in the same setting, it's very rare to find like people at that age, you know, in that type of role. So I guess if you're in my position, I would say like connecting. You know, I've seen like social media is getting really big now. People is, you know, becoming friends and they're branching out. They're meeting a lot of people that is doing the same thing that they're doing in their field. So definitely like connect through social media. And if anybody's watching my video and they happen to be a young practitioner in this role, you know, go ahead and message me or comment down below. I'd like to know what are your thoughts about this. Like, how is it transitioning from an RN to a practitioner? How do you feel, you know, it is working in that environment? Do you meet a lot of people your age, and how have you been adjusting? I'd like to get your feedback. In addition, something that really affected me a lot, I had to get used to, and I still don't think I'm used to it, is as a RN, a nurse, LPN, I always work 3 days a week and I always make my own schedule. I like that type of independence where you can, you know, pick your schedule for 6 weeks, or if you do travel nurse, you're in one location, you're out one location, you pick and choose where you want to work. Versus working as a practitioner, you are a staff worker, you are there full time, and also in the office hours and in most doctors' office are usually Monday through Friday and 9 to 5 type of business hours. And that was such a huge adjustment for me because throughout my whole career from CNA to RN, I always worked 3 days a week. That's like less than half of the week. I had literally 4 days off every single week. If I wanted to take a mini vacation, I could. I had time to recoup. Even though you're working really hard, those 3 days you're working long shifts, I felt like the 4 days really made up for it, you know. Or if you wanted to go and take a mental break, go on vacation, you had that time and you didn't have to take days off work and use your PTO if you didn't want to. If you set up your schedule a certain way, you can literally have like a little vacation every week. And now stepping into this role as a practitioner where I had to work 5 days a week was very hard. I'm not gonna lie. More power to the people that work 9 to 5. It's amazing. I just feel like it's what you're used to. If I was always used to working 9 to 5, it would have never been a problem for me. But because I never been used to working that since I was 17 years old, working as a CNA, it was really hard to give up like 5 days out of my week to essentially only get 1 day off, because I feel like that Saturday doesn't really count as an off day. You know, you're kind of like doing all your errands, running it. I mean, I'm sorry, that Sunday doesn't really count as an off day, because it's kind of like you have half a day. You kind of have to go to sleep early, prepare yourself, prepare your day, your household if you have children. you know, just to go back to work on Monday. And that just didn't sit well with me. Like, I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. But I guess with the new role that I'm in, if that's what most of the jobs require, that's something I'm gonna have to get used to. But it's just really hard for me because I never had to do that before, and it is just a very hard adjustment. And I would say if anybody's in my position, I guess it's just figuring out what type of environment you want to work in as a practitioner based on your specialty, because there's places that do provide 3 days a week or 4 days a week longer hours, or even working from home. So those are good options too. I just feel like it's something I have to get used to. Like everything else, when you're in a new role, everything is new. It's an adjustment, you know. Everything is not gonna be perfect, it's not gonna be to your liking, but that is part of the process, and you have to see what you like. And if you don't ever get in the role, you're never gonna see what you like and what you don't like, what works for you, what doesn't work for you. So I hope this was a really good update for you guys on my 1 year of how everything's been going. I guess we'll see where it's gonna go. I definitely want to continue to get experience as a practitioner and continue to do, you know, what I went to school to do. Absolutely. Did I love it? Absolutely. It was very rewarding being in that role, taking care of patients, and that level of having that level of autonomy and independence is very rewarding, and it really challenges you a lot, which is great because that's what you went to school for, you know, to learn, to be a provider, to make a difference in patient lives. So I will be stepping back into this role soon. I just don't know when, but I'm taking a mental break because it's very important to take a mental check. You know, working is not everything. Making money is not everything. Yes, it's important to pay your bills. It's important, you know, to have a life and all that. But it's also important to, you know, to mentally be up there. And if you're not happy in something or you feel very anxious about a role, I say, like, take a break, you know. Even if that means going back to an old role, like an old position. Like if you were an RN, you can go back to working as an RN. Nobody's gonna look down on you. Nobody's gonna frown upon you. I'm gonna make more videos about this because this is something that I feel like a lot of people don't talk about a lot because they fear embarrassment, or they fear people might think like, wow, you wasted your time. So I definitely want to make another video talking about this. And if you like this video, don't forget to comment, like, and share. I want to hear you guys' feedback. Let me know what you think. What do you guys want me to talk about? Was this video helpful? I hope I gave you guys a good update. I've been gone for a while, and I appreciate everybody that subscribed to my channel, that's been viewing my videos, and I really appreciate you guys. I'm gonna be putting out new content, more content, good content. So hit that notification button so you can get notified every time I post a video. Bye.